Okay, let's dive in. We've got quite a few sources here, thanks to you sending them over, all pointing towards a big new thing from Apple. Looks like we're digging into something called the Apple Games app.
That's the one. And our goal today, sticking strictly to what these sources tell us, is really to unpack it. What is this app? What's it supposed to do? And maybe most importantly, why should you care if you play games on, your iPhone, iPad, or Mac?
Right. And just scanning these sources, it feels like the core issue they're tackling is, well, it's that familiar mess, isn't it? Having games kind of scattered across all your Apple stuff.
Exactly that. It's like trying to keep track of everything separately. This seems to be Apple's shot at bringing your whole gaming world under one digital roof.
Okay, under one roof. So let's start there. What actually is this Apple Games app, fundamentally? What did the sources say about its big reveal?
Well, the materials state it's a brand new dedicated application. Apple officially pulled the curtain back at WWDC 2025. That was June 11th. And its main job, its stated purpose, is integrated game management, designed specifically to work smoothly across iPhone, iPad, and Mac.
Integrated management.
Oh.
Okay, but what does that feel like for you using it? How does integrated actually work?
So the sources really hammer home this idea of unification. Instead of just having game icons all over your home screens or digging through your App Store history, this app is built to gather all the games you've downloaded from the App Store.
On any of your devices?
Yes, across all your linked devices into one central library.
Ah, okay, so it's like one main dashboard for your entire Apple game collection. Doesn't matter which device you happen to download it on first.
That's the idea, precisely. It's about cutting down that friction, forgetting where a game lives or needing to grab your iPad just to launch something you usually play on your phone. The sources also mention controllers making it easier.
Controllers? How so?
Yeah, they note that if you have a compatible game controller hooked up, it makes browsing your library and launching games right from this app even smoother. It's all about centralizing that access point.
Okay, that convenience angle sounds pretty big.
Hmm.
So you've got all your current games organized, but what about finding something new to play? Does it help you cut through the clutter of the App Store?
Discovery seems to be a major focus, yeah. The app's designed to help you find new games in a couple of key ways. First, it gives you personalized recommendations.
Based on.
The sources say those are based on games you've played before, what your friends are playing, powered by Game Center, and just generally titles that work well with Game Center features.
Okay, personalized lists are pretty standard. Anything else? Like hand-picked suggestions.
Yes, absolutely. The sources are specific about curated game collections. This includes things like editor picks games, Apple is highlighting, and also a dedicated section for Apple Arcade subscribers.
Oh, right, for arcade users.
Yeah, making it really easy for them to see the latest games added to Arcade, right there inside the Games app. It's about giving you some signposts in that huge App Store library.
Makes sense. Trying to guide you a bit. Now, you mentioned Game Center and friend activity feeding into recommendations. Does this app lean more heavily into the social side of gaming overall?
It definitely looks that way. The sources put quite a bit of weight on boosted social features, and it's all running through Game Center. You'll apparently be able to see what your friends are up to, like their progress and activity, in real time within the app.
You mean like, see that my friend just beat a level I'm stuck on right now?
Kind of, yeah. Or at least what they're playing. And you can easily check out and compare your achievements and goals against your Game Center friends. But maybe the biggest practical social feature mentioned is about invites.
Invites. How so?
You can apparently send invite links or party codes straight out of the app using your regular messaging apps.
Oh, that's interesting. So no more awkward copy-pasting codes or trying to coordinate times. Just ping a friend directly.
That seems to be the promise. Just streamlining how you get friends together for a multiplayer match, making those quick, spontaneous game sessions much easier to actually start.
That could be really useful. Okay, and there's also something new called the challenge feature. The sources brought that up.
Yeah.
How's that different from, say, a normal leaderboard?
Good question. So the challenge feature is framed as a new thing within the Apple Games app focused on score-based competition. You can still compete with friends generally or look at global leaderboards, sure.
Like,
But the key detail the sources highlight is that developers can use this feature to create unique challenges specifically designed for smaller groups of friends.
ah, okay. So it's less about being number one in the world and more about maybe setting up a little competition just between you and a few buddies. Like who
Yeah.
can get the highest score this weekend?
Exactly. It adds that layer of sort of more personal, maybe tailored competition. Could be more fun, more engaging than just trying to climb a massive global chart.
That does sound like a neat addition. It also seems important to know what's happening in the games you already play. Events, updates. Does the app help keep you in the loop there?
It seems designed to, yes. The sources mention it, providing real-time info right in the app. So on a games page, you'd see current news about that title, details on important in-game events happening now, and like we said, your friend's live activity in that specific game.
So the idea is you won't miss that limited time event just because you didn't happen to open the game that day.
That seems to be the goal, yeah. According to the sources, the layout is meant to put the latest happenings and ongoing events right up front, so you hopefully don't miss things you care about. It's about making your game library feel a bit more dynamic and current.
Okay, wow. So let's recap. We've got unified management across devices, easier ways to find new stuff, much smoother social hookups with Game Center, these new focus challenges, and real-time updates on your games. That's quite a package. Stepping back then, why does all this really matter? What's the big picture takeaway for someone gaming on Apple Gear?
Well, if you pull all these threads together, like the sources seem to be doing, the biggest impact is probably aimed at making the whole experience feel more convenient, more integrated, especially if you're someone who plays on, say, both your iPhone and your iPad, or maybe even your Mac too. Right now, it can feel a bit scattered.
Fragmented, yeah.
Exactly. This looks like an attempt to create a central hub, a single point of contact for your Apple gaming life.
And the social stuff. Is that just a nice to have or is it more critical?
The sources definitely position the social enhancements as key. The idea seems to be that by making it way simpler to see what friends are doing, compare scores, and especially to quickly invite them to play, you remove some real barriers.
Barriers that might stop you from playing together otherwise.
Precisely. It could genuinely boost how much fun people get out of the social side of gaming. The sources suggest this is a way Apple sees to deepen engagement with games on their platforms.
So it sounds like Apple's really trying to elevate gaming, make it feel less like a collection of separate apps and more like a cohesive part of their ecosystem.
That definitely seems to be the message coming through in the source material, yes. They likely see this app appealing strongly to people already invested in gaming on Apple devices and probably playing a role in making that ecosystem even stronger, even bigger over time. It boils down to less friction, more connection.
Right. So moving from scattered apps to one library, from endless scrolling to tailored suggestions, and from fiddly invites to quick social gaming. The Apple Games app really wants to be the command center for gaming on Apple.
Which leads to maybe a final thought, something for you to chew on based on what we've discussed from these sources. Thinking about your own habits, how might having all your games, your friends' activities, these challenges all consolidated in one place? How might that actually change the way you play, discover, or even connect with friends through games across your Apple devices?